1971 to 1974. Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Trawler.
Game 481, Cubs at Cardinals.
Welcome back, baseball fans. 1971-74 Summer Carryover League. We are back into the final matchup in the round of seven. 7 games to distinguish first and second place, and we're in arguably the best division in this whole Strat-O-Matic League, the National League Central. Cubs, Pirates, Cardinals, Reds, the most tradition, the oldest tenured teams in the National League in one division. And it has just been an incredible year of great competition. No team running away with it. And the favored 2 teams are struggling. And these guys, Cubs and Cards, need to get some sort of award for just persevering in a timeline that would not normally be forgiving to them. So let's see what these 2 teams can do. Let's first look at what has to be done here in this series with 7 games remaining, up to 7 games remaining. And here we are in this row here. So the way this reads is that it's the Cubs at Cards home field for a best of 7. Tiebreaker goes to the Cubs. It's not going to be used because the Cubs are 2 games behind the Cardinals with 7 to play, meaning that winning it 4 games to 3 is not good enough. It only gets them to within a game. You use the tiebreaker for a half a game or tied, so they don't get to use that tiebreaker. Unfortunately for the Cubs, they need a 5-2. Let's see how it's playing out. Game 1, we open up in St. Louis. They're feeling very comfortable. They had 3 Cardinals in the All-Star game, and they are the talk of the town in the National League. Fergie Jenkins lost twice to the Cardinals when they played them last time around. And Bob Gibson, by the way, lost twice to the Cubs. They went 0-4 in the best of 7. They never faced each other, and they aren't today either. Fergie Jenkins against Sonny Siebert, the All-Star for the Cardinals. This game is a low-scoring game as you would predict until the 6th inning, when we get an RBI double by Don Mincher of the Cubs, offseason acquisition, 1-zip. Then in the 7th, they get to Siebert some more, and they get a single, a triple by Carmen Fanzone, and a 2-run single by Billy Williams. This resilient Cub team, they've had an injury to Glenn Beckert in this game. Kessinger has been starting games on the bench and coming in to play shortstop midway through, with Madlock at third, Santos starting the games at short and then moving over to third. They've been tricking out the rules of eligibility, and Santos played a ton of shortstop this year. He could play second, third, and short, but he's played a ton of shortstop this year. In this particular case, Kessinger was started on the bench, came in for Beckert. Turns out Sano can play second base. So Sano played second, Kessinger short, and Madlock stayed at third. Then they had another injury an injury to Madlock. So he couldn't play third base anymore, so they got Carmen Fanzone to play third base. He's a 40-37. The Cubs somehow survived this game, losing 2 guys to injury, getting a road win, a 4-1 victory, and it is Fergie Jenkins, his first win against the Cardinals this year. 8 hits and a run, and Sonny Siebert gave up 4 runs and 10 hits. Complete games for each guy there. Actually, no. Siebert went 8. Game 1 goes to the Cubs. That means they're a game out. Game 2. It's Bert Hooton versus Chris Short. Defense is coming into play here suddenly in this series. You get an error on a stolen base attempt, and Fanzone knocks Kessinger in. They start Kessinger against lefties. It's 1-zip. Bottom of the fourth, Reggie Smith solo shot. Game is tied 1-1. It stays this way. Chris Short goes 6 innings. They turn it over to Chuck Taylor for 3 scoreless. Hooten goes 7 1/3. They turn it over to Ray Burris for 2 2/3 scoreless. Top of the 10th. And this is where, like I said, defense has been a key factor in this series. A strikeout, then a ground ball to Joe Torre. He makes an error there. A fielder's choice for the second out. Inning should be over. No, sir. Ron Santo, 2-out, 2-run homer. 3-1, Lloyd Allen. He was actually a member of the Angels, but the Cubs signed him to be a closer. He closes out the 10th inning. And the Cubs, another road win. 3-1. They've beaten the Cardinals 6 out of 9 thus far this year. They are now tied for first place at this particular moment, winning the first 2 games on the road. What happens when we go to Wrigley Field for a Game 3? It is Bob Gibson versus Earl Stevenson, who pitches admirably. Stevenson they acquired from the Brewers, I think. Bad, shoddy defense in this one. Cubs get a run in the first. Matlock singles, then it's thrown out stealing. But then Briggs gets a double. Then you get a single by Williams and Hickman and a walk and a 2-out strikeout. Just 1 run for the Cubs. Cardinals get a homer. After 2 outs, the homer to Ted Simmons. After 2 outs, that Ron Santo shortstop makes an error. That's the first time he's really made one, or it's impacted the Cubs, him playing out of position. That's followed by a Lou Brock double, a Jose Ortiz double, and a walk. It is 3-1 Cardinals. Bottom of the 5th, Johnny Briggs homer, 3-2. Top of the 6th, homers by the switch hitters Reggie Smith and Ted Simmons. The Cubs rally in the bottom of the 8th, chasing. No, Gibson doesn't get chased. He gets the complete game. A triple, a walk, an error by Joe Torre. Another error by Joe Torre. A walk single, but with the bases loaded, Gibson gets 2 shallow fly ball outs, so it's just a 5-4 game into the 9th. Ray Newman comes in the 9th, and he gets knocked around. And the Cardinals get an 8-4 victory in Game 3. A road win for each team. And the Cardinals are now a game up in this division. This is tough baseball. All 4 teams. Game 4. It's going to be Rick Russell versus Scipio Spinks. In this one, top of the 1st, it starts out good for the Cardinals. Joe Torre, 2-run homer. There are some more errors to report by pitchers, and each pitcher made an error, as well as Dwayne Anderson, the shortstop for the Cardinals. A 3-base error by Lou Brock in the 5th inning. That hurts. A single off the Dwayne Anderson card defensively. Another error off Ted Simmons. It's 5 runs in the middle innings, and this is a 5-2 game charity. The Cardinals give this one to the Cubs. Cardinals are looking really sloppy now for the first time all year. We've been very happy with them about doing the right thing most of the year, figuring out their lineup, their defense, their substitutions, their bullpen, their rotations, but it's just coming unglued a little bit against the Cubs. Ground out RBI in the 8th, but that's it. And Rick Russell, he will get a victory, 7 2/3, beating Spinks. So the Cubs have won 3 of the first 4 games and have re-tied this division. Back up to a tie. Game number 5. And again, it's a matchup of Game 1. Sonny Siebert, Fergie Jenkins. Jim Hickman, Cub surprise all-star, solo homer in the 7th. Ball game! Ball game. Sonny Siebert, 8 innings, 9 hits, a solo homer, I just said, 4 strikeouts. But it's Fergie Jenkins, beating the Cardinals twice in 4 days. 7 hits, shutout, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. And the Cubs, yes, have won 4 out of 5. And this is really remarkable, folks. Let's look at the overall standings now. The Cubs are on the precipice here of being in first place at the end of this round. Here we are. So, Game 6 and 7, if necessary, are in St. Louis. The Cubs need to win that to tie it. And then Game 7 would be for first place. The other interesting part of this, because the Cubs have played so well and the Cardinals started this series 4 games over 500. If the Cardinals lose the next game, they'll be at 500. If the Cubs lose the next 2 games, they'll be a game over 500. There is no way that when the Reds and Pirates play, that both of those teams will be at 500. Matter of fact, it could be that the Reds are a game under 500. But regardless, that means that when the Reds and the Pirates play in this round of 7, loser goes home in August. No playoffs whatsoever for the Reds or the Pirates. One of these teams, they're going to be gone in August, which is remarkable. These are 2 of the best teams of the early 1970s. But it's been the story of the hard-to-beat Cubs and Cardinals, teams that fight and don't lay down. And the other aspect of this is that the Bob Gibson is on the mound here. And in this series, remember I said Fergie Jenkins and Bob Gibson did not win the previous time these teams met in a best of 7. Right now, they're 3-0. And it's up to Bob Gibson to force the Game 7. So for the Cubs, it's going to be Bert Hooton. 11-14, 281 in 218 innings and 72 for the Cubs. Trying to give the Cubs sole possession of first place. And Bob Gibson's magnificent 72, 19-11, 246 ERA in 278 innings. Arguably the last great year of his career. He continued in 73 and 74, I believe, but this is probably the last time he's vintage Gibson here. Game 6 in St. Louis. Can the Cardinals get back into a first place tie by winning 2 of the first 6 games? Again, they had the math in their favor to start this thing, so I know the Cubs have been winning 4 out of 5, but the Cardinals had a slight little tiny bit of cushion that's all been used up. But they can still, if they hold home field, they'll be in first place. Let's get started from Busch Stadium. Leading off, it is Bill Madlock. The Cubs have been running with this formula with Ron Santo at short, bad defense and all, until somebody beats them. Madlock, 1-8 is a single. Johnny Briggs, 2-9, center. Glenn Beckert, 5-11, walk. Billy Williams, 33, pops to second. And Jim Hickman, the All-Star, 110, flies to center. What a story this has been. Remarkable that one switch, Hickman was on the bench, Briggs was the DH, Briggs was in the outfield, Madlock was a DH, Santo was at third, Kessinger was at the shortstop. They switched it up, and ever since then, the Cubs, who were 3 games over 500, are now in first place. Lou Brock, 410, skies the center. This is Unser, a 285. That'll be a double off the Unser defense, which is good. Jose Ortiz, former Cub, 1-8. That's a single off his card to center field. Brock probably will run 17 against the -1 arm, makes it a 16 and scores. Cardinals get the early lead. Bake McBride now batting third. Short X. And there's the defense. So we'll see how this continues to play. 40-48 for Sano. Yep, see that? Single dot. And there, Kessinger sitting in the Cub dugout in a closeout game is cringing, knowing that would have been an easy double play ball if they would just let him play. Oddly enough, I don't think Kessinger's missed a game. He's played every game, though he's not started in the last dozen or so because of this new formula. Runners are on the corners. Torrey was hitting third all year. Now they've moved him into the cleanup spot as they've been stumbling against the Cubs. You got runners on the corners for Joe Torre. 1-6, let's take a look at the Torre card. Right on cue, the lineup change. Homer, 1-13 double, and he rolls the 13, and it's a 3-run homer. And the Cardinals have a 4-0 lead, and that is the biggest lead they've had in this entire series. Reggie Smith, 67's a single. Ted Simmons, 34, pops out. Dwayne Anderson, 1-8, homer 1-2, fly ball. And Bob Berta, 310, is a walk. 2 on, 2 outs for Sizemore. Sky's the center. Well, it's up to Bob Gibson to protect a 4-0 lead to force a Game 7. And like I said, folks, it's probably going to happen for the Cardinals. I mean, yeah. Neither of these teams have really been awful, just terrible this year. They've just, I mean, they haven't reeled off like 10-game winning streaks either. Minshew, 39, grounds to second. Santo, 411, first X. And Berta's a 4-25 at first base, but he makes an out on the 4 range. Unser, 38. Unser's 38 is a K. Back up top, it will be Lou Brock. 1-8 is a K. Ortiz, 48, center. And Bate McBride, 64 off of Hooten, is homer. 1-2-3, and he misses it, gets a double. Joe Torre, 311, flies to right. We go to the third. Randy Hundley, 2-7, lines are short. Madlock, 68, Ks. Briggs, 56, right. Bottom of the third. Reggie Smith, 3-6 is a walk. Simmons, 67 singles. Dwayne Anderson, 39 singles. So yeah, the Cardinals are rolling today. Bases are loaded for Berta. They're going to play back. 38, right be question mark. You can run Reggie Smith against the Hickman arm. They will. And he scores. On the sac fly. First and second, 1 out. 5-zip game. It's Sizemore. He pops out. And Lou Brock. 111. Bounces it short. Gibson's getting support. Good to see that for Bob. Getting some run support here. 5-0. Glenn Beckert bounces to short. Billy Williams, 67. Strikes out. Jim Hickman, 64. Grounds to short. This would be the first game that the Cubs have played where they've been in first place in quite a long bit of time. And it shows, folks. They're probably going to lose their sole possession here. Jose Ortiz, 56 is a K. McBride, 35. Single to 19, gets it. Joe Torre, 2-7, center. And with 2 outs, Reggie Smith, 4-10, center X. 2-5 for Unser, makes the play. We'll go to the 5th inning. Cubs need to get something going here. Wake up a little bit. I expect them to be competitive. These teams have both been competitive the entire series. Don Minshew, 1-4, short. Santo, 68 Ks. Del Unser, 2-5, grounds to third. Bob Gibson, a 1-hitter. First batter of the game, a hit. Nothing since for the Hall of Famer, the legend. Big moment here for him and his Cardinals. Let's go to the bottom of the 5th. Pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
Okay, bottom of the 5th, it will be Ted Simmons. 67 is a base hit. Dwayne Anderson, 69 is a walk, and we'll see a new defensive player for him. Mike Tyson will not take over at short to help Gibson some more in the top of the following inning. Bob Berta, 43 off of Hooten, is right X. You got 40-14 Hickman. That's going to be a double. That scores Simmons. Second and third for Sizemore. 1-9 left B question mark. This is the pinch runner Tyson. He'll tag up against the 0 arm of Billy Williams. And he scores. Tyson scores. Not Hahn, Tyson. And Hahn will take over duties for Berta. And with still just 1 out, right? Yeah, 1 out, 1 and 2 runs in. Runner at second. Back up top, Lou Brock. 58, right. And with 2 outs, Ortiz, 48, center. 7-0 game, not Bert Hooten's day. Bob Gibson will continue here. Hundley, 59, second. Madlock, 1-8 is a single. Johnny Briggs, 2-3, grounds the third, fielder's choice. And with 2 outs, Beckert, 65, center. 6 innings, just 2 hits. Bottom half, Hooten will continue to get through 6. McBride, 2-6, base hit. Joe Torre, 64, homer 1-10, it's gone, and now it's getting silly here in St. Louis. Yes, eventually you get a blowout, and we got it today. It's 9-zip, and Bert Hooten just didn't have it for the Cubs, who had to be giddy, you would think, the Cubs, who were projected to be knocked out in this round as the last place team in this division. And lo and behold, they turned the standings upside down. 5 innings and 2 batters, actually, for Hooten. That's not a good look. So Don Hood comes on in the 6th inning. Hood was an Oriole in 74, with 3.47 ERA. Cubs found him in the draft, unprotected. It'll be Reggie Smith. 9-0 game. 6-10, third X. This is Madlock, 4E24. This might be a good time to end that experiment with Kessinger and Santo now. You got your little winning streak, but now it's sort of failing you, Cubs. So go back to the tradition. Ted Simmons, runner at second, 6-11. First X. 3-13 Mincher. That's a single. On the corners for Mike Tyson. 57's a walk. Oh my goodness. It's getting pretty ugly here. 9-0 game with the bases loaded. They're playing back for Don Hahn. 2-5, left B question mark. They're not going to run. Leave them loaded for Sizemore. 1-6, single 1-6, lines out. And with 2 outs, Lou Brock. 45, center. 9-0. Gibson might take a early exit in this one. Billy Williams, 4-10, center X. McBride's a 2E4. And it's a double. Hickman, 2-8. It's a single. On the corners for Mincher. 2-8's a 4-6-3 double play. Run will score. No RBI given. Ron Santo, 67 is a K. Well, there goes the shutout, so not much more for Gibson to contribute. He'll leave after 7. Hood continues into the 7th. Stretch time here in St. Louis. We've been enjoying Ann Peebles' 1974 LP, I Can't Stand the Rain. The good news is for Ann, so we'll throw that song down as a matter of fact, is that it's not raining here in St. Louis. It's kind of nice, actually. So, 9-1 game, bottom of the 7th. It's Jose Ortiz. 47, skies to right. McBride, 56, short X. Grounds out, and with 2 outs, it's Torre. Singles, and Reggie Smith. 6-10, third X. Madlock, 4, yeah, double. Yep. Wake up call for the Cubs. It's not going to work anymore. Ted Simmons, 48, pops to first. Well, the good news for the Cubs is their revised defense will be used in Game 7 when it matters the most. So, Gibson leaves after 7. We'll see Al Santorini take over in the 8th. Be Del Unser. 1-5, homer 1-16. It's gone. 9-2 game. Okay, Randy Hundley. He strikes out. And we'll have Kessinger in here. Keep his consecutive game streak going if there is one. Don Kessinger. 4-12 pitcher. And it's Johnny Briggs. 2-5 single. Beckert, 2-12 second. 9-2 game. Hood leaves after a couple. We'll go Ray Newman in the 8th inning. He was a Cub in 71 with a 3.56 ERA. Boy, we're going to have some tight standings after we get the box for this game. My goodness. Mike Tyson, 6'11", first X. Mincher's a 3.13. That's a base hit. It's a sloppy effort all together for the Cubs. Like they knew they had 2 games to play with, and they decided they'd go for the Game 7. You know, you have Bob Gibson in Game 6, and you're like, we're probably not going to win that one. Let's target Game 7. You get the idea. That's what we're doing here with the Cubs. Sizemore pops the 3rd. All right, Santa Maria in the 9th inning. Billy Williams, 210 pitcher. Hickman, 1.6 K. And Don Mincher, 65 walk. And Santo, 4.4 strikeout. And that's your ball game. A clunker here for everybody but the Cardinals. They get the win, and yes, Gibson and Fergie Jenkins are 4-0 in this round after not winning in the previous. How about that? Of course, the Cubs have 8 wins in the 2 series. The Cardinals only have 5. So the Cubs will win the season series, though, like I said, the tiebreaker won't affect the standings. 2 hits, a run, a walk, and 3 Ks for Santorini. Gibson gave up just 1 run. 4 hits, the solo, the run in the 7th, a walk, 5 strikeouts. Newman singles. Don Hood, let's see, he gave up 2 hits and a walk in the 1 inning, and then he settled down and gave up 2 more hits. Disastrous day for Bert Hooton, my goodness. 13 hits, all 9 runs charged to Bert. Well, Bert, that's going to hurt your Cy Young candidacy. That's a shame. 9 earned runs. 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. 1009, 0108. 918, 26. 2842, 4228. Wow. So the formula has been 2 Cubs wins, a Cardinal win. 2 Cubs wins, a Cardinal win. That's how it's gone. That's not going to work out for the Cardinals. They need to win Game 7. 1009, 0108, 918, 26, 2842, 4228. All right. Let's look at the year-to-date numbers for these 2 teams. The records are not good. I understand that you can't run away from this division. Nobody wants to surrender and give up this year in this division, so therefore nobody can run away with anything. And so the Cardinals are 20-18, and the Cubs are now 18-16. So they're tied, just 2 games over 500, and you're like, wow, these teams aren't that good. It's like, yeah, folks, I'm telling you, they are good. They're just fighting each other, and very competitive. The Cardinals, 20-18, they're hitting .276 with a .350 ERA. Gibson now has 8 wins, doing very well. Sonny Seaver went to the All-Star game with 6 wins. He's lost twice, Gibson's won twice. So they kind of flip-flopped since the All-Star break, as Seaver had a better first half. You do have 10 homer for Joe Torre now and 35 RBI, but he's still just 45 for 159. Making some errors, too. He's hitting .283, but that card should hit .363. It's just not going to hit it this year. But he's making up for it by hitting a ton of home runs. So good for Joe Torre for that. The Cubs, the big 3 have been Beckert, Billy Williams, and the surprising Jim Hickman. Fergie's gotten 2 wins of this series. He's just 6-5 though. 35 runs in 89 innings isn't that great either. The Cubs, .275 with a .423 ERA. They just haven't had enough pitching this year. It's been the sticks. It's been Hickman now, 9 homer and 25 RBI to lead the club. Batting 5th most of the time. He's 38 for 103. That's 370 something. Billy Williams, though, is 43, leading the club in hits. Actually, Beckert's got a couple more. He's 43 for 132, but just 3 homer and 15 RBI for Billy Williams. He's been getting on base and advancing runners, but the guys behind him have been driving them in. Ron Santo, I guess, he's got 20 RBI. And we'll just go right to the standings here. And here it is, folks. Isn't this crazy? Look at that, 529 in tie for first with Cardinals at 526. So I'll play game 7. That team will have sole possession of first place. And I said before, this does not clinch the division. This round of 7, all you are attempting to do is distinguishing first and second place. That will be decided in this 7th game. But once you're in first place, you get to play the Braves in a round of 5. The Braves are 12 over 500. That could get ugly quick. So you could very well be in first place now, play the Braves, and they'd be knocked into a wild card. So, interesting. That's it for now. We'll give you the results of Game 7 at the end of this video. Thanks for checking it out. We'll see you next time. Okay, baseball fans, here's the box score of Game 6. You saw the Cardinals routing the Cubs. Was the strategy for the Cubs to throw this game or put all their energy into the Game 7, you might wonder? And the answer is a resounding, yeah, it would be. We would have a battle of lefties. Inexperienced lefties that were required outside the organization. Earl Stevenson for the Cubs, Chris Short for the Cardinals. Neither pitched for those teams. Both teams right-handed heavy rotations had to go outside the organization to find the lefty. We thought this would be a game where bullpens would have to get in here early and help out. It happened in the top half of the 4th inning. An out, single, double. Don Kessinger, getting the start at shortstop, gets injured. There's a twist. So now he has to leave the game, and now you have to move Santo over to shortstop with Madlock coming to play third. 2 outs then. Carmen Fun Zone. The Carmen Fun Zone in Chicago, 3-run bomb. It's 5-zip. A sac fly here, some wasted opportunities by the Cardinals. Nice relief work by Chuck Taylor, keeping it to a 5-1 game for the Cubs. But Al Hrabowski comes on in the 7th, knowing that's elimination and needs to get 2 shutout innings. And the Cubs knock the Mad Hungarian around. Have to say it there. He gives up a single, 3 walks, a double in the 8th, 2 singles and a triple in the 9th. 6 runs off of the Cardinal closer. Tail between his legs, folks. And it is the Cubs. Resounding throttling of the Cardinals in Game 7 by a score of 11-3. And actually, they were in command of this whole series, and they had to be. Again, because of the calculus here, we'll go look at that again. Here it is. Cubs cards. Cubs 2 back. Need to win 5-2. Cubs won 5-2. They did exactly what they needed to do to get a 1-game lead in this division. They're sitting at 19-16, where the Cardinals are 20-19. That also opens a door, you could say, for the teams at the bottom, or at least one of them. Reds, Pirates. Catching the Cubs in this round is not likely. As they're 2 games back, you'd have to get a 4-game sweep to tie them. But the Cardinals are in reach for 2nd place. The Cardinals can tumble into 3rd, with the winner of Pirates-Reds getting into 2nd. That could very well happen. Meanwhile, we have the matchups for all those first-place teams in the next round of the tournament here, where the top seeds meet in a friendly. Nobody gets eliminated. Blue Jays, Tigers in a best-of-5. The Portland, San Francisco in a best-of-5. We got Oakland going to Chicago, but Oakland's got to win 4 out of 5 because the White Sox have a much better record. And lastly, those lovable Cubs you just saw, they get to play the Braves. That's your reward. And the Braves are 4.5 games better than the Cubs. So the Cubs, if they want to knock the Braves out of the #1 seed, have to win 5 straight. 1 victory by the Braves would end that series. So it could be a short trip for the Cubs in first place. We'll see. They obviously have a better chance of making the playoffs than the Cardinals, at least at this point. And the Reds or Pirates, the loser of their series, which comes a little bit later in this round, is going to be done. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.